Hey kawan, welcome to EDCReady. Today we have a review of this knife. This is a Higonokami knife. So a little bit of a background right here. Higonokami is a knife that is made in Japan, and I believe it can only be made by a guy named Mr. Nagao. He's the only one, or the only person in the world designed to make the original Higonokami knife. This wood material right here is a bit of a darker wood. It is a handle material of named persimmon natural wood. It is a friction lock, which means that there is no detent nor is there any lock. And as I already mentioned, this guy here is made in Japan. So before we get into the full review, let's do some basic measurements right here. I have here my calipers measuring in inches, and of course, if you guys want to know, a very important note, this knife here was donated to the channel by thomastools.com.my. So if you guys want to help out the channel that is helping out this channel, do check out the description links down below. You will find a link to their website along with a 10% discount code, so you can check that out. So here we have a blade length of 2.89 inches. Okay, we have a blade thickness of 0.11 inches. Right, let's close this up. We have a handle length. The wooden handle portion is at 3.69, but if you add the little tab here, it comes in at 4.12 inches. In terms of the width, we have here, it comes in at about 0.69. Yep, 0.69 inches at the narrower parts, and on the thicker metal parts right here where the knife sticks out, we are coming in at 0.85 inches. And then we also have I already measured that. We also have a thickness of 0.4 inches. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Let's start with the blade right here. So we have here a VG10 blade steel. So VG10 is a good budget blade steel. It's pretty much balanced in terms of between its pricing, corrosion resistance, ease of sharpening, in terms of its edge retention, in terms of its corrosion resistance. It's all pretty balanced. In terms of the budget steels, it's all pretty well balanced. We have here a flat grind that goes half the way up, and then it's flat up here. We have here no flat. It is a completely belly blade. Okay, it's a very shallow belly, but it kind of goes all the way around. And in fact, one thing I forgot to do is I forgot to show you guys what the weight is. So sorry about that. Now this is going to be in grams, so you guys might need to do some conversion yourself. We're coming in at 28 grams. Alright, back to the blade. So the blade shape here, it is an okay blade shape. There is just the smallest hint of a micro bevel. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's found in this knife. It just seems like it's just one straight grind all the way to the tip right here. In most knives that you see, you have a micro bevel that comes out. You can see that there is a little bevel there. You have this bevel, and then there's the micro bevel over there, and then you can see it on this knife as well. Okay, see there is a slight micro bevel, but on this knife it seems like that micro bevel is non-existent, or if not extremely tiny. Okay, so blade steel is fine, VG10 is alright. But the blade shape, I do like a little bit of flat in my knives. I do appreciate a shallower belly, but I do still appreciate a bit of flat on my knives. So I mean, at the end of the day, it gives off a nice little aesthetic, a nice little traditional Japanese design. Can't really knock it too much on that. However, one thing I don't like about this blade is that, as you can see there, it has a non-sharpened edge right there. Don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of a recurve, and it's completely unsharpened. That's probably because there's no sharpening notch or whatever, and it kind of goes into the plunge grind. This blade, however, is kind of good for this kind of pull cuts. However, that blade shape is good for the pull cut, but because it is a friction folder, if I put any pressure on the spine here to push down on something, there's nothing locking it. So this is just gonna like go up on you. Okay, so that's the blade shape. As for the blade, it is relatively thin. It is about the same thickness as this guy right here. Unfortunately, because of a very narrow grind right here, it doesn't really come to a nice sharp tip. It's okay, it will still cut, but it's definitely not going to be a very good slicer as one of this guy, or even, I would say, even the Para 3 lightweights actually even has a bit of a sharper grind to it than this guy. So that's the things I like. I like the blade steel VG10. It's good blade steel. It is has a lot of belly on it, which I'm okay with, especially when it has this point. The point itself is relatively thick, so it can be used for penetration. However, without a locking blade right here, I don't really feel safe using it to penetrate something, and it has a bit of a recurve there. Now, moving on to the pivot system right here. There is no disassembly for this knife because I don't think I would want to disassemble this knife. It has a little flathead screwdriver here, which I'm assuming you can just unscrew, pull it out, maybe adjust the friction as you need to. But as I mentioned, this is a friction folder. There is no detent to keep it closed. It just opens up. It kind of uses the friction as a detent, and then it has nothing to lock it either. So the problem with that is you need to have some kind of thumb pressure up in here to kind of keep the blade from closing up on you. Unfortunately, with a lot of traditional knives, sometimes you'd have a little lip right here or something there so that it doesn't close in on you. But the problem is, once you take your finger off this thumb, it becomes completely unsafe in my opinion to use this, because any downward pressure on the blade, and then the blade is going to come right down on your hand. Your fingers will already feel that sharp bit right there. I don't really have another slip joint to show you, but if I can just show you a knife like this, for example, it has that kind of lip there, so your finger is there and then the lock would fail, your fingers would still catch that little unsharpened portion. As with this guy right here, your fingers would definitely catch that sharp edge if your thumb ever disengages, or if there's too much downward pressure. Another problem with this, as I already mentioned, is that you always need to have your thumb here, which is great for this kind of slicing cut, and then having a lot of belly is great for that kind of slicing cut, especially since there's no flipper tab to stop it. Fortunately, a lot of the cutting I do in my life uses this kind of cut. You pierce in and then you pull, which is really why I like this kind of shallow belly kind of knives, such as this guy, I really appreciate this. And then this one's on loan from a guy named Anas. Also has that kind of very shallow belly, great for piercing and pulling kind of cuts. Now, unfortunately, to use that kind of cut, this is fine because it's locked, okay? Unfortunately, once you place any kind of back pressure on here, and when you're cutting it's fine, but when you pull out, if you still have any kind of back pressure, it's going to definitely fold in on you, especially if it's a binding kind of material. Let's say you're cutting into some hard foam, you pull it, and then when you're trying to pull it out, if you don't pull it out correctly, the foam will pull this blade back down. So that's unfortunate. Another thing that's unfortunate right here is that I already mentioned there's an unsharpened blade edge right there, and also has developed a bit of a recurve down here. Unfortunately, if you look deep inside, I don't know if I can show this to you. Hold on, let me get some light. By the way, this is also on loan from Thomas Tools. You can check them out. Okay, if you can see in there, hold on. Let me try a lower setting. Don't know if you can see in there, but if you look closely, there is a little bit of a line in that center, right around here, right around there. There is a bit of a line. That is because when this blade closes, how it kind of holds itself in is that this sharpened portion right here goes into the wood over there. So as a result, you might get parts on here that's a bit sharper, and then parts on here that have lost its sharpness because it rests on this little wooden piece in the back right here, which is really unfortunate. It kind of stops it from digging into the rest of this blade edge right here. Unfortunately, it gets it in right there. So that's a little unfortunate. So not only does it not really have a detent to close it, and by the way, this has opened in my pocket before. Like, I've had it in my pocket, and then when I put it out, it kind of caught on my wallet and left a little scratch on my wallet. But it doesn't lock shut, lock open either, which is unfortunate. Let's talk about this wood. This is among the darker wood. This is called the persimmon wood. They also have a Bombay wood, and then they also have an iron wood on the website on thomasTools.com.my. I'm sure they have other woods out there, but that's what's on sale right now. Do check them out. They also have other materials. Sometimes you can also find it in metal, copper, brass, whatever. You can check it out on the website, which is in the description down below. But this is among the darker wood. It's okay. No complaints. All the edges are rounded off right here. This is technically an integral knife because it's one piece of wood that's carved out, so it's not really sharp. It's very comfortable in hand. The wood actually feels nice and premium in hand. Okay, we do have a little bit of an imperfection here, but I've been told by them that this is not a model that's for sale. This is one of the imperfect models, and that to me kind of makes me feel comfortable about the website. The website makes sure they check the knife first before they push it out, which is a great practice that they have. Not every website would do that, but this is not a video review on the website. This is a video review on the knife. You also have a little lanyard hole right there. which is not a which is a completely, how do you define this? It's a tube. It's a complete tube. Yes, that's it, because it is within this little backspacer here. So if you have any lanyard here, you won't have any problems with the blade cutting the lanyard. Okay, so you can flow through here and then tie it up. I'm not a big lanyard guy myself, but if you like rocking it like that, go ahead. And a few more things I want to say about this knife. If you want to carry this knife, you definitely would want to carry it in a slip. That's what I would do, because this has slipped out in my pocket before and cut my wallet. And that's pretty much it. Let's go into the final conclusions of this knife. And my conclusion of this knife is that this knife is a great knife for you if you like the aesthetic. I have a friend, his name's Ian Stephen Ong, you can check him out. He's a filmmaker, and he really likes this kind of knife design. He really likes this classic Japanese blade shape, this Japanese utility kind of knife. He really likes this design, and I think that's really the only reason why you should get this. There are many traditional knives out there, and definitely this has a nice, eloquent, gentlemanly kind of design, kind of fashion to it. And if you like this design, then go for it, but keep in mind you are buying this for the form more than the function. It will cut, don't get me wrong, it's still sharp enough to cut. You can still do some kind of basic cutting if you're cutting open an envelope, if you're cutting up some paper, I wouldn't use this on cardboard just because it doesn't have lock, and cardboard sometimes you can bind up a little bit and then the blade could move. But you are definitely buying this knife for its appeal, for how it makes you feel, for how it makes you look, compared to the function. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, the Higonokami knife, it's a good gentlemanly knife if you love the aesthetic, but personally it is very much not for me. Okay guys, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm still aiming for my 1,000 subscribers for this year. After I reach that 1,000 subscribers, I'll be doing a pretty big giveaway, or as big as I can do it. Arc Company has already shout out to them. They have already committed to helping that out with the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Okay guys, and as always, stay ready.